Okay. Welcome back.
Okay, yeah. Let's come on back and then share. You can read the old one.
I have.
You have.
Okay.
Ah, no, it's fine. The one shows.
Okay, so we're continuing. So starting over, we are doing percentages, and like I mentioned, anytime we talk about percentages, it means that we have a certain fraction, and then instead of we quoting that fraction, we will want to state it in a way that we are measuring it out of 100. So to do that, you simply keep your fraction part, and then you multiply it by this 100%. You keep your fraction part, you multiply it by 100%. So if the question is given to you, you do your best to fish out the fraction part out of it, and then when you get that, you multiply by 100%. So in our first example, we looked at Amma scoring 4 out of 10 in a test, and then by converting that to percentages, we said you have 4 over 10, and then you multiply that by 100%, and that should give us 40%. Now we have this BC question. It's obviously a theory question from your section B, I mean, and then it says that in a test consisting of 90 questions, Amma answered 75% of the first 40 questions correctly. If she had to get a score of 80% in the test, now these are the problems you are supposed to handle. The first one, how many questions did she answer correctly out of the first 40 questions? Out of the first 40 questions. Then the second one says, how many questions should she answer correctly out of the 90 questions? So the first one, we've seen that she answered uh, 75% correct out of 40. And then now we want to look at if she's supposed to get 80, then how many questions is she supposed to get out of the whole 90 questions? And then finally, when we do that, the remaining 50 questions, how many must she get correct so that she can hit her target of the 90%, 80% of the test? So we are going to take these guys one after the other, and I'm sure it will bring us an insight into some questions that fall under percentages and how you can solve them. So with the first one, we are looking at how many questions she answered correctly out of the first 40 questions. One thing you must always remember is that anytime you have percentage, it only means out of 100. So this question says that in a test consisting of 90 questions, So you keep that in mind. Amma answered 75%. So now that you have seen 75%, you would want to write this 75% in the form of a fraction. So 75% is simply 75 over 100, because that percent here only means out of 100. So 75% of the first 40 questions, of the first 40 questions. So mathematically, when you use of, your mind should go to something like multiplication. So 75% of the first 40, of the first 40. So this is what we have. So now we want to find out, when we simplify this, because it's fractions, what are we going to get? So I can confidently cancel these two zeros out, because one is down, one is up. And by doing this, it means I'm dividing this side by 10, and I'm dividing this side also by 10. So when I divide 40 by 10, I get 4. And when I divide 100 by 10, I get 10. So this should now give me 75 over 10 times 4. We can still reduce this thing further by using 5. So I know that 5 can divide 10 two times, and then 5 can divide 75, 15, 13. Yes, 15 times. 15 times. So this also brings me to 15 out of 2 times 4. So once again, this can still be reduced, because we are saying when you are doing the cancellation, look at a denominator and a numerator. So with this 2 and 4, 2 can cancel itself 1 and cancel 4 2 times. Then now we have 15 over 1, which is simply 15, multiplying 2 over 1, which is also 2. So it means that out of the first 40 questions, Amma answered 30 of them correctly. So that was the first part of the question. Okay. Now the second part of the question is saying that Amma is supposed to get 80% of the whole exams. 80%. So if she's supposed to get 80%, then this is going to be 80 out of 100 multiplying. Now it is not the first 10 or the first 20 or the first 40, but of the whole test. And the whole test consists of 90 questions. So then you multiply here by 90. Then it's up to us to reduce this. So I can reduce that, and then I can reduce as well this 0 with this one. So then I have 8 multiplied by 9. So I know that 8 times 10 should give me 80. So when I'm multiplying by 9, that should give me 72 questions correctly. So it means that for the first one, if Amma had 75% of the questions right, then it means Amma answered 30 questions out of 40, the first 40 correct. And then if she is to get 80% for the whole test, then she's supposed to get 72 questions right out of the 90 questions. Now the third part is asking us that if she has already had some marks, then how many more questions must she answer in the remaining 50 to get her 80? So here it takes you to a simple subtraction, because you know that the total she is supposed to answer is equal to 72. And then what she have already is 30. So the remaining to get correct out of the other 50 is simply going to be you subtracting this 30 from the 72. So we do a subtraction of these two, and that should give us what will be here 2, 8. So 2, yeah, 2, and then here will be 4. Yeah. So it means that Amma have 42 more questions that she's supposed to answer correctly out of the 50 questions that are remaining. And that should solve this problem. So if you go to your BC and you get a similar question, don't rush, just take the questions one after the other. Think through how the question has been put, and then you should get a beautiful answer out of it. Okay. Let's now move from Amma and look at something different. Okay. So this is a simple question involving sharing. So anytime you see sharing, your mind can go to ratio and proportion, and if it is percentages, you can restrict yourself to the formulas that I have shown you already. So here we are saying that an amount of money was shared between Nancy and Nat, and then if Nat's share is 5 Ghana cedis, which represent 40% of the amount shared, what is the total amount they shared? Okay, so we have already said that if you have a percentage given, so if I have, let's say, X percent, then it is always equal to a certain fraction A over B multiplied by 100%. And then we are saying that the B part is the whole thing that is being shared. The A part is the individual shares, and then we just multiply it by this fraction. So from this question, we are going to fill out these formulas and then see what is missing and then look out for it. So we have been told that the amount that Nat had, so Nat's share is what we are talking about here, that's what we are using. So for Nat's share, we are told that in terms of percentages, it is 40%. So this side is 40%. And this 40% is equal to 5 cedis out of a certain total amount that they are sharing that we don't know, which is this B. And then we multiply it by this 100%. Okay. So straightforward, we see that there is a unit here and there is a unit there, so they can cancel out. So then here we are simply left with 40 being equal to 5 over the B multiplying 100. This is an equation, and so we can multiply through by the denominator. So multiplying through by the denominator, we are going to have 40 times B, which is 40B, and then that should be equal to 5 times 100, which is 500. Okay, so we divide through by 40 because we are looking for the B. Then we have our B here to be equal to, when I cancel out the two zeros, I am simply left with 50 divided by 4. 50 divided by 4. So I have 50 here and I'm dividing it by 4. So 4 go into 5 once, and that should give me 4 here. And then when I subtract, I have a 1. Dropping the 0 makes this side 10. 4 divides 10 2 times, and that is equal to 8. And when I subtract, that should be 2. I bring a 0 here, and a dot comes up here. 4 into 20 will be 5. And that should be 20, so we are done here. So it means that the total amount which was shared was 12 Ghana cedis and 50 pesos. So 12 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. So if Nat had 5 cedis out of it, then that is 40%. So if Nat is having 40%, then it means that Nancy is going to have 60% of it, and that should be equivalent to 7 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. 7 Ghana cedis and 50 pesos. And I think that is really true. Okay. You take another question. Okay, so a traffic survey gave the results shown in the table below as vehicles involved in road accidents. So we have the vehicle type and then the number of them, which is the frequency. So for cars, we have 15. For lorries, we have 12. Buses, 8. And then bicycles, we have 25. And we have two tasks. The first one is to find the percentage of vehicles that are cars. And then the second one is what percentage of the vehicles are buses and lorries put together. So we are going to handle them. Okay, so from our formula, we said that there's always supposed to be a fraction part, and the fraction is what you are interested in divided by the total. In this table form, the total is not given to you straightforward, so you have to find out the total number of cars. So for the total, it's going to be the frequency of all of them. So the first one is 15 plus 4 plus 8 plus 25. Okay, so 12 and 8 gives us 20, and then 15 and 25 gives us 40, so in all that should give us 60. Okay, so if the total number of cars involved is 60, then the first one says what percentage of it is cars. So for cars, it's simply going to be the total number of cars, which is 15 divided by the total number of all the vehicles, which is 60, and then you multiply that by 100%. Okay, so 15 can cancel itself once and cancel here 4 times. And when we divide 100 by 4, that should give us 25. So it means that 25% of all the vehicles that are involved in road accidents are cars. Now the second part says that what percentage of the vehicles are buses and lorries put together. So we know that for buses, the total number is 8, and then for lorries, the total number is 12. So when I put these two together, I am getting a total of 20. So if I'm getting a total of 20, then the percentage for bus and lorry is simply going to be their frequency put together, which is 20, divided by the total number of vehicles here, which is 60, multiplied by 100%. So here too, 20 can cancel itself once and divide 60 3 times. And then when I divide 100 by 3, that should give me 33.33. So that gives me 33.33, and on and on and on percent. So it means that when I divide the total number of cars into 3 and I pick one out of it, that one is going to be the combination of lorries and then buses. And that is where we will end today. When we come next week, we look at more application of this concept of percentages in things like tax and then all those business mathematics that we do. Okay, so see you next week. Bye.